For all things great iron and hard top, it's Kev Lewis since the Sandbox.
What's going on, guys? How lucky are they get to see these three beautiful faces on a weekly basis, huh? But we're back. More NBA talk. It's not power rankings.
Nope.
It's not would you rather. We hope you enjoyed those ones. But here we're talking some a little bit more serious. Some a little bit more, thought out. Who we think is going to win the NBA MVP this season. MVP. I want to see what one of you guys have before I go. So someone jump in.
Yeah, well.
All right, so I don't have a definitive winner just because I think this year every front runner has gotten hurt in every way. First it was LeBron, he's out. And then who else was it?
KD, Harden.
KD and Harden. So I think Harden's still in it just because he's only been out a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's one guy I have in it. I have Embiid in it, even though he's been hurt. I just think every other front runner has been just as hurt. You know what I mean? So I think this will be the first year, and I think this in over 20 years where someone who's missed 20% of the games will win an MVP. But the only guy I think is realistic besides Harden and Embiid, and who should win it right now, it's a tie. It's Chris Paul and Giannis.
Wow.
The only two guys. Giannis has the numbers, but doesn't have the team success, especially in the East where it's been banged up and dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And he's missed a couple games. But Chris Paul, dude, come on. It's kind of getting crazy now. He averages great numbers. Phoenix is literally, without him, a top 3 worst team in the league. Mm-hmm. That's what they were. That's seriously what they were. And everywhere he goes, they win. You know what I mean? Everywhere. New Orleans, the Clippers, Houston, here. You know what I mean? Even the Thunder last season, he kind of did the same thing.
Absolutely.
And it's just I don't know. He has to be it for me because if we're talking straight value, he's the only guy you take off a team realistically and they're a dumpster fire completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you think that Chris Paul is going to be a long-term thing in Phoenix?
I think if he plays a year or two more and doesn't retire, I think he'll be there. Just because, no one else is going to pay him, and I don't think he'll want to leave. I think he wants to settle down with, young guys who can support him as they learn from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In his decline, but, dude, where's the decline?
No, I feel
dude's
that.
just ridiculous. He's been, the best, probably, pure point guard in the league since, we've watched.
Yeah. And, no, we were talking about that because I want to get a Chris Paul jersey.
Yeah.
Because we're going to Cali. And I was like, well, what jersey do I want? I was saying to Kev, I was like, how do I get a Chris Paul jersey and not be New Orleans, or the Hornets, just in general? So I want the NOLA yellow one. That one's actually really sick. So I can't rock a Clippers jersey. You know what I mean? So
the other one would be fresh.
I'm sorry, Clippers fans. I can't rock a Clippers jersey. I'm from Boston. But as far as it goes with the MVP conversation, I have 5 names written down on who I think should be in contention. So I have Harden, I have Dame, I have Jokic, I have Embiid, and I have Chris Paul as well. Mm-hmm. When we put injuries and all that into factor, it kind of takes away Harden and Embiid's name. But they were only injured, like you said, very so little. So I'm kind of narrowing it down between the rest of those 3, and I definitely think that Chris Paul will honestly be the most deserving, but he probably still won't get it for whatever the disrespectful reason is. The league just doesn't want Chris Paul to succeed, and we've seen that. But at least State Farm does.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Him and Uncle Cliff. But I think it comes down to Dame. Kev, I know you were talking about. Lou. I know you were talking about Giannis and having the numbers with the Bucks, but Dame has been really consistent and done it successfully, and I think it's about time for him too. I mean, he's someone that I feel like always has his name around the MVP conversation. He's clutch. He carries that franchise. He's loyal. He's a different type of leader. He's a great guy on and off the court. And I definitely think if we're really keeping injuries into a major perspective into the MVP race, then there's no reason why Dame isn't our victor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm definitely in the boat with you guys. CP3 is one of my honorable mentions. I definitely think, like you guys said, he's one of the most deserving, if not the most deserving. But like you guys said, I just realistically don't think the NBA is going to give him that award. No. James Harden was another one, and I think, like you said, Lou, he's still in contention. Just the injury that he's facing now and the whole switching team thing, I think are 2 things that are just because he didn't play a lot at the beginning of the season, just because the whole Houston thing. So I think that's the only thing that will take away from him. But my 3 real MVP contention guys: Jokic, Lillard,
Jokic is up
and
there.
Embiid, right? And I look at it, right, and I called this in the beginning of the season that I thought Joel Embiid was going to win the MVP, and I still do think Joel Embiid's going to win the MVP because I feel like with Dame, I feel like it's weird because obviously he's got the numbers, but like his team is not a top team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I look at Embiid and I'm like, Embiid is a guy who is the number one option on a top team in the entire league, not even just in his conference, in the entire league. You know what I mean? And then I look at Jokic and I look at, well, the guy's 7 feet, averaging 26, 11, and 9. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
he's stupid.
When I put Lillard up against them two, it's just hard to really pick him over either the two of them. And then when it comes to Embiid and Jokic, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I give the edge to Embiid just because I feel like Embiid, like, presence-wise, like, on the court, just has, like, more of, like, a dominant feel. Even though Jokic's numbers are clearly, like, the more dominant because of the 9 assists, I just feel like Embiid is, like, a matchup problem for everyone.
So, I'll say
in the entire
this.
league.
I think you're right with the dominant thing, but I would say that Jokic might have a greater ability to control the game than Embiid does.
That's true. I mean, yeah, that's true. But again, I'm not looking for Embiid to control the game. You know what I mean? And that's a great... I'm not taking anything away from Jokic. That's a great skill to have. But when I'm looking at guys like that, like, I'm not going to take that away from Embiid that he can't control the game just because he's, 7-1, 7-2.
I'm not
I
saying
definitely get what you mean. Like,
I feel like that's more of a perk for Jokic rather
Yeah.
than a down or a knock on Embiid. And that's... I mean, I feel like that's the difference in looking at, like, a Shaq-esque dominance and, like, you know, kind of a facilitator with... I mean, it's hard to really compare Jokic to anything.
See, and my problem with Dame is, like, for a guy like that's going to be a 5 or a 6 seed to win it, like, the last dude to do it was Westbrook, and he had to average a triple-double in a season. And, like, the other thing, too, that, like, why I think the whole voting is, like, complete bullshit. Like, Like, if you look at it from, like, this perspective, Giannis has won it back-to-back seasons. His numbers are the exact same, but the narrative is different.
Yeah.
Say because Brooklyn keeps getting hurt, they finished with the 2 seed. The fact that he finished with the 2 seed with Brooklyn, Philly, the Celtics, Heat, and all of them in a conference with the same numbers, and he's not even in the conversation.
Yeah.
Because the Bucks are the Bucks, like, and he's won it before. Like,
I feel like as far as like that sense, like I feel
it's like LeBron.
I was just gonna say I feel like I can see Giannis's career panning out like a LeBron when it comes to like the superlatives, whereas like he's just so good and he does it year in and year out that he kind of like screws himself out. Because even LeBron this year, if he didn't get hurt, I feel like should have won the MVP. I don't know if he would have though, just because like you said the NBA. But I feel exactly I'm the same way, and that's why like. And not to make this like a GOAT conversation between Jordan and LeBron, but that's why I always tell people, like, the NBA is way harder on LeBron than they were with Jordan. Like, LeBron should easily have at least 8 MVPs. Not even Jordan. Like, literally.
Like, you're telling me, like, Russ deserved it over him.
Like,
I mean, like, it's just tough, though. Like, when you look at the numbers, they're the same. The team is still succeeding.
Right.
And, like, what's the difference? Like, the lead, like, what's different? Like, Embiid's, like, playing a little better.
And he's doing it in a better East.
Yeah,
honestly,
and, like, Embiid's, like, a little better but hurt. Brooklyn's big 3, like, can't keep it together at the same time, so they're out of the MVP race besides Harden.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, who else in the East can really you put in that conversation? Like, not really anybody.
Yeah.
It's just tough. Like, I feel like he's really getting a raw deal because, like, any list you look at or any, like, clip on YouTube you look at and talk about, he's not in the conversation. But, like, why?
I know.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I feel on my team too.
I don't know, like, I'm not saying like we should fault him for this or like anything like that, but like the Bucks started off slow, so like I mean I think they did. I don't know if you guys would agree, but I don't know if that's kind of why. I feel like Philly's been kind of this hot the whole year, and maybe that's why Embiid's stealing a little bit more of the shine, and I just feel like maybe they're trying to like you said, shift that narrative like towards more one direction than the other.
Yeah.
Or like because I think another thing is like they don't believe the Bucks will get it done in the playoffs. And like obviously that shouldn't matter, but I think that's in people's heads.
Right, but they've made it further than Philly has. Like, you know what I mean?
That's true.
So
true. Well, guys, that's going to wrap things up for our MVP conversation going on in the NBA. Make sure you guys let us know who you think your MVP is down below. Guys, we have a bunch of basketball content that we got for you this week. That's why we're rocking these jerseys. We talked about our NBA Would You Rather. We did some power rankings. And we have some NFL draft coverage going on for you guys. So make sure you check that out. Go to sincethesandbox.net where you can listen to our podcast and get your favorite merch, just like your favorite podcasters. And guys, like we always say, go to our podcast, leave us that 5-star review, because if it ain't 5 stars, we don't want it. Peace out.
For all things great iron and hard top, it's Kev Lewis, since the Sandbox.